Can put more points in a skill. Drugs raise learning caps, but they're bad for your health, says the loading screen. Welcome to Disco Elysium, everybody. I am Colonel RPG, and we are making advancements. We're gonna find Ruby. Kim, I was about to not go this way. 2 rusty metal plates that slide apart form a crude door. It's been here under the boardwalk for a while. Who's there? What do you mean, who's there? It's me, Kim. Stop playing around and help me get this door open. Okay. It's much easier from this side. The panels on the rails once you dust the panels on the rails once you dust what? Once you dust the send-off. With the help of your partner from the other side, the doors open with a creak. I hope no one dangerous heard that. Don't worry about it. You ready? Yes. Time to investigate these passages. Let's move quiet and not make more sound. Not running is a great way to do that, says our savoir-faire. Well, I guess we're not running. Also, I'm gonna save. Because that is the outside, as far as I can tell. I'm not really sure. Oh, wait a minute. Was that the pipe that I messed with? Outside? Anyway, we're not running. That is an exit, isn't it? Can I go back there? It is an exit. Which means that Kim can go to the roof if I want to. But I don't want to. I'm just reloading. I don't know if the game takes into account how many times I enter or leave this area. You never know. There's checks everywhere. Okay. I ran a lot already. I'm very sorry, Kim. Also, the light is not gonna be great for keeping us concealed. In the beam of the flashlight, a crevice in the wall. Wait, you can actually go through? You can. That's me. Stale fabric smell and dust. No one slept here in months, maybe years. Is that me? No. Krasmazov portrait. A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. A plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spiderweb in the lower left corner of the portrait. Comrade Mazov. Is this the I think this is the bust that we found, and we have been going back to in the apartment complex. The one in that room that was locked and nobody ever showed up. I'm gonna brush the dust off the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample mustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Actually, it's the full head of hair that looks a bit silly, even though it is matched by an ample mustache and sideburns. Look, Kim, it's Comrade Mazov. Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago. The lieutenant does not seem to share your enthusiasm, says our rhetoric. A long time ago? How long? Half a century. This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. He looks around. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. What's with all these secret weapon caches and secret bunkers? We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in run-down neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers. A good hiding place for someone who's up to no good, says our savoir-faire. Well, maybe I should move in here. It seems cozy. I won't stand in your way, but only after we're through with this case. It does seem really cozy. I haven't actually looked at the, Oh, look at that. We saw through there. We saw through there, and I said something about not having to go down here. Or he said. Could it be connected to the Mazov bust we found in the student's room? I mean, connected as in maybe the people believe in similar things. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. Could someone have stopped through here recently? He looks at the dust. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history. Yep. So let's see what we have over here. These pots and plates are full of dust and spiderwebs. Revolutionary propaganda on the bunk bed. Ancient flyers and brochures. Is that an English word? I think it is. The same slit window you saw from the outside? Yes, indeed it is. And my throat needing clearing. And this is a Revolutionaries Hat. I knew the name of this thing. It's evidently made to evoke the iconography here. It's evidently made to evoke the White Revolution in the beginning of the 20th century in Russia. But actually, was it called Russia back then? Yeah, it was Russia. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't know the name of the I don't know the name of the history. I don't know the history very well of the USSR, and then later it became Russia. But then again, Russia was part of the USSR, so I mean, I suppose it was always called Russia. And we have +1 with the Mazovian Socioeconomics, or to the Mazovian Socioeconomics. Oshanka, that's the name. Yes, that's the name of the hat. With the Mazovian logo, a pair of deer antlers on its silvery white front. Your ears feel cuddled and cared for by the state. So this is specifically in Mazovian sort of evokes Marxist. It starts with the same letters anyway, but this is specifically the very centralized. What is the name of it that the Russians did? Controlled economy, I think it's called. It's one way of, well, it's one theory of applying communism, which is the controlled economy, where basically things are produced depending on whether they're needed or not. And of course, it has not, as far as I know, it has not been replicated in other communist regimes. I think the USSR was the only one. Although, actually, I say that. It probably was replicated in other places, so I don't know. But I don't know of any other. But anyway, I say the controlled economy there mostly because the looked after by the state and all that requires a very centralized way of an authoritarian way of applying. Don't sprint. Of applying the whole thing, the whole revolution stuff. Footprints in the sand. One of the souls appears more worn than the other. We're on the right track. It's the trucker woman, and it's this whole thing about. Actually, wait a minute. Ooh, we got something over here. It's getting louder. The buzzing sound. This buzzing sound is the sound that we heard in the church. You feel something like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell. Lieutenant, do you feel something? No, what do you mean? A pain, a strange tingling? I don't feel it, but he looks ahead beyond the arch. We should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. Our pain threshold is what is actually filling this, so it's not our inland empire or anything. Yeah, I saw them too. Footprints with the right sole worn smooth. I must have mentioned this. For a driver on a car that has a modern layout of the pedals, because cars haven't historically always had the same layout of pedals, where you have the accelerator on the right side and the brake in the middle or left side, depending on whether you have 3 pedals or not. Some cars have 4 pedals, but the fourth one tends to be for the emergency brake or for the hand. It's not hand brake, so because it's not operated by the hand. But it's called the emergency brake as well because I think why is it called emergency brake? It's kind of a funny thing because in many cars it uses no, it doesn't use it. It's interesting because when you think about the brakes on a car, you think on the brake pedal, right? And what happens in cars like that, or that have brake pedal, modern cars, I mean to say, what happens in modern cars is that you're actually actuating a servo assist or a servo fray something or other. It's got a name. I don't know the name of the thing, but it's basically a pump that pumps oil into the brakes that makes the car stop, or that activates the brakes. What happens with the emergency brake? Modern car, like really modern cars, are different because they have electronic brakes and whatnot. But I'm talking cars from 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. What happens with the emergency brake? It's usually a cable that goes directly to the rear brakes or the front brakes, depending on the cars. Most cars have rear brake emergency brakes, but some cars don't. Like, for example, the Citroën Diane, I believe, has front emergency brakes. I'm not sure why. Actually, I know why. I'm going on a tangent. The reason why is because it's got a hydraulic suspension. Anyway, the aerogas suspension or something. Anyway, the point is, it's called emergency brake because it operates on a different mechanism. And if you lose your oil-operated, your hydraulically operated brakes, which is the brake pedal, you can use your emergency brake to stop the car, or more or less stop the car, because it's only on one pair of wheels, and also it's the rear wheels, which is they don't brake as well, because they can you can pull a handbrake turn basically. Here in Portugal we actually just say handbrake. We don't actually say emergency brake. That's more of an American thing, if I understand things correctly. Anyway, why did I start talking about this stuff? I go on the wildest rambles. I'm sorry. Beyond the arch, was careful. Oh, right, the brake pedals. Right. I must finish my thoughts. So the brake pedal, or rather, not the brake pedal, the traditional. Well, I say traditional, but really the modern layout of controls that cars have, where you have the accelerator on the right, the brake pedal on the middle, if you have a clutch, and if you don't have a clutch, it's just a brake pedal on the left, or middle anyway, because people, as far as I know, people who only drive manuals still brake with their right foot, so that may be where it's coming from. Huh. That may be where it's coming from, the right foot being more worn out. But what I'm gonna say is, I believe on a manual gearbox, on a car with a manual transmission, where you use the clutch, the brake, the foot that you're going to use the most is the left foot, because the clutch is what gets used the most. And in fact, when you're learning and when you're not used to driving a car, your left foot is going to be sore. If you're learning a manual, obviously. If you're learning automatic, things are different. So I was going to say that maybe it's not quite like this, which maybe I'm wrong on that. Let me know in the comments. Always let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Hold on, you don't really feel anything? I'm gonna ask that. No, but you're the sensitive one, says Skim. It's not a quib. The situation is dangerous, says our rhetoric. Yeah, I saw them too. Footprints with the right sole worn off. Looks like our suspect, if she's in here. We need to plan our next step carefully. What do you mean? He lowers his voice. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union in the Wild Pines will do? It will set in motion events we have no control over. You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize, says our logic. Yeah, that is the plan. Our volition says keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail. We know what Joyce knows about the murder, but I may have other things to discuss with her. Wait a minute. If Acht knows more than he's told us, maybe we should continue working for him? I have not worked for him. Joyce definitely doesn't have anything else to tell me. So this is more for me as it's just sort of revising what we're doing more than anything. How bad do you think things could get? Well, we're not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground. He smiles in the dark. Let's try not to worry, he thinks. That's what our esprit de corps translates. If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done. Well, there's the whole sending the body back to the morgue. But honestly, at this point, I think I'm thinking it is a bargaining chip or something to that extent for us. Potentially. What do you think is waiting for us there? I think I see a cavern. The lieutenant's whisper echoes down the tunnel. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise. Isn't cellar specifically a reference to where you keep your wine? Because I've seen things being called cellars that are definitely not cellars in the sense of what this is. Cellars, the term itself comes from... I actually don't know where the term comes from. Probably from the French, but I don't know the word. What he's referring to here is actually just not a cave. Although a cave would be a word to use. A basement, basically. More basements. But cellar, because I think cellar can be called to anything that holds wine. And I've seen that being so like wine cellar and being sold. I'm talking about a piece of furniture. And it's literally just a piece of furniture. And I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't be so sure, says our savoir-faire. You haven't exactly been sneaking. Oh, come on! Or maybe not. He puts his hands to his holster. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back. Sounds good to me. Look for Ruby. Union and cryptozoology business might end when you do. Yes, that is actually the idea. We have a couple of things here. 17 minutes until the precarious world has been completed. Well, we have the save from the beginning of the episode. We're going in. I haven't been sneaking. Your face hasn't been sneaking. Wait a minute, she's painting? Let me just get some money out of here. It feels strange. A concrete pipe buried in sand and dust. I didn't mean that money, by the way. I meant the money that you get from the green checks. Or that I get from the green checks. Wait. Well, if I haven't been sneaking, screw that. Run. Run for your life, Mr. Harriet Dubois. Oh, we got a thing. There's something in the air. An unnatural buzzing. Yeah, I probably should have seen that before. The tunnel collapsed. You'll have to find another way around. And the footprints are very clear in the sand. So we just didn't go in the wrong direction first. Which, of course, means that we went in the wrong direction first. Because the wrong direction is always the right direction. When it is the first one to go, what the hell is happening? Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain like you've never felt before. Through the static, you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once, but her words are the only one you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse.
She says, or says the shadowy figure by the machine.
Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
Heroic failure on our pain threshold. I almost died already. As she says the word officer, you feel a spike in agony. It sounds like entire frequency range, or the entire frequency range is screaming directly into your neural pathways. I'm not going to cover my ears. I want to hear what she has to say. That's an awful decision. Why would you not want to shield yourself from it? It's an entirely new type of experience, way worse than all the previous ones. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on doing your job. Tell her she's under arrest, says our volition. What's happening to me?
I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing, it's the Ulan frequency. Blasted from the pale emitter Fat Angus mentioned. Fat Angus said you had a pale emitter.
That boy's really gonna learn to keep his trap shut. And it's not a bloody pale emitter. It doesn't emit pale.
I might want to note this stuff down over here, just in case I need it, because there's numbers in here. So, that is a 13684. 441. I doubt I'll ever need this. And a 378911303. I don't recognize any of these sequences. And also, it doesn't have to emit pale. It's a emitter that is pale. That could be it. You should probably check on Kim. That's what good partners do. Says our esprit de corps. Yeah, I'm gonna look back at him. He's in front of me, actually.
Right behind you, officer.
Eyes closed, the lieutenant is doubled over. He's still alive and breathing.
The pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pale. Literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the pale. People lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
He gestures towards something with great effort.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world.
It's important to note that radio waves are just light at a certain signal. And also, you can't hear them, which means that it doesn't matter how strong they are. Actually, what makes a radio wave strong? Is it the amplitude? Yeah, it is the amplitude. Because the frequency itself is what is basically what changes the pitch. And information. There's a bunch of... I'm not a radiologist. I don't know any of this stuff. But the amplitude is what makes something louder or quieter. So it doesn't matter how loud it is, unless it's loud enough to actually be able to have physical impact on things, and then we are just as susceptible to interference as anything in the world. So I suppose if it's like targeted to our brain and moves our brain around, then it's not a good thing. But we can't hear it. Although we might be able to hear the interference that it causes. Like when, I don't know, like if you have a speaker, a music speaker very loud, and something is rattling because of how loud it is, maybe if you have that music speaker on emitting frequencies that humans can't hear, but it's still at the same volume, it will have the same exact effects on the rattling that it causes because it's still the same volume. Then you can hear the rattling, but you can't hear the frequencies themselves.
At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for pale latitude compression. That's why you might be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
Those were prime numbers now that I look at them. Although I can't do the calculations easily for dividing by 17. 11. Yeah, those are prime numbers, I think. The ones that I have noted. Yeah, local radio chatter. She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking and you just might get an opportunity to break loose. What is this goddamn pale anyway?
Pale? It's the end of the world.
Will I stay like this forever?
No. Once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like walking out of a very confusing dream.
More numbers. Terekalis, palun ara oleo metini pilves, and a bunch of other things. I really would like her to shut it down. How did you get your hands on this thing?
I built it myself.
She nods towards her torture device.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Are you really gonna talk about patent law here, Kim?
Oh yeah, way beyond.
She studies her death ray and the law officials trapped in it. And that is the reason why we're way beyond it. Have you experienced the compressor yourself?
Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. Seemed like the ethical thing to do. Can't say that I enjoyed it. The field was weaker, but I can imagine what you're going through.
You know, this is all great, but let's talk about the man who was killed.
Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But we're out of time for the day, so we're going to talk about it, or whatever she wants to talk about, in the next episode. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Disco Elysium. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.